Honestly, I have no idea what happened to her. Something like switched.
Me?
Where I was...
Something happened to me? You lie, and you don't own your shit.
Here we go. Another liar in the group. Everybody lies according to you.
Here we go. No, who's a liar? You're the one who lied. Clearly.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of New York, Season 14, Reunion Part 1. And before we get started, Sai and Erin, I thought it was delicious watching them both squirm on that couch. And I thought it was just as delightful watching Sai at the end of the couch. I said, baby, that is where you belong. And you could tell that Sai was sick about it because you just know that Sai thought she was going to be first chair or at the very least in the middle. And she was not. She was right there at the end.
I love it. I love it.
And Miss Ubah, I have to check you quickly. It was very clear that somebody put a battery in your back and told you, hey girl, you weren't really doing a whole lot this season. If you want your contract for season 15, I suggest that you show out for this reunion because that's what you did. And I'm not trying to be petty when I say this, but your timing was off and your antics gave flop. And again, that's no shade, but I thought that Ubah was doing way too much and it just wasn't landing at all. There were quite a few times where I had secondhand embarrassment because I said Ubah's doing too much. She's trying way too hard to have this mic drop iconic moment. And baby, let that happen organically. When you force it, it always looks awful. Because even Andy was like, okay, well, next. And I said, that's never a good look. But guys, with all that being said, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this first part in a very dramatic fashion as everybody's arriving to get their hair and makeup done. We see that prior, there was a group chat and Ubah was telling everybody off, but she was really going in on Erin. So she's calling Erin Karen, meaning that Erin is a Karen. And I couldn't stop laughing because Jenna was like, who's Karen? I was like, Jenna, I love you, but I'm gonna need you to keep up. So we see Brynn and Erin in the dressing room getting ready. Brynn's like, have you seen Ubah this week in the group chat? She's really losing it. She's not even here getting ready. She's at her place getting her hair and makeup done. We now see Ubah arrive to her dressing room and she was fully glammed up. I said one thing about it. Ubah said you will not catch her slipping. She might not be in her gown, but she said you will never catch me with no hair and makeup. And I know that's right because I get it. So anyhow, we see Andy go into Ubah's dressing room and he's like, how are you feeling? And Ubah says that she's pissed and she's hurt. She goes on to say that her teammate didn't stand up for her and how Erin has gaslit her the entire season and she's tired of it. And Ubah, I'm going to be getting on you quite a few times throughout this reunion because I felt like you were all over the place. You were flip-flopping. 1 minute you hated all of them. You're cursing this person out. You're telling them off. Then all of a sudden it's, oh, I love you. You're a great person. You're polite. You're elegant. Like, baby, which one is it? So now they get on the stage. It's reunion time. Andy's greeting all the ladies. And I want to quickly go over the fashions. I'm not going to hold you guys. I wasn't really blown away by anybody's look. I thought that Erin's dress was nice. She looked pretty, but I felt like it wasn't reunion worthy. I feel like that's a dress that we would see her wear on any given Saturday night. I thought that Jessel's gown was pretty. I didn't love it, but she did look good in it. I didn't love Brynn's look. I mean, yes, the face always looks good. The face card will never decline, but I didn't love the dress. I know she said she was going for Sexy Pilgrim meets OnlyFans, but I just felt like Brynn dresses so well, she could have brought it even more, just my opinion. If anybody was best dressed at this reunion, I would give it to Ubah. I thought that she looked fantastic. for Sai to be this fashion goddess the way she claims, I wanted more from her as well. I mean, yes, Sai looked nice, but it just didn't give me that wow. Does it, you know what I'm saying? Jenna, you know I love Jenna down, but I felt like, Miss Jenna, I don't want to see you with jeans on. I mean, Jenna has such a fabulous closet. She could have done so much more. So we know how this goes. Andy's going around asking each housewife how she's doing, and when he gets to Sai, he's like, Sai, I have to address the elephant in the room. Have you eaten today? And Sai's like, actually, Andy, yes, I have. I bought some groceries and I brought them with me in the dressing room. So I just said, Sai, this whole bit about you always being hungry is getting really old. We don't care. It wasn't funny this season, and it's not going to be funny next season. I can assure you that. Now, may I just say, I thought it was so comical when Ubah said, before we get started, I just want to say to everybody that I love you guys. And I said, you do? Because we see you getting them together in the group chat. So now you love them? I just said, what's going on? And the minute that Ubah said that, I knew she was about to be on some BS. So now they finally get started. Andy kicks it off by asking all the women, how did it feel being the new faces of the New York franchise? And he goes on to say that they did a great job. And you could tell that that compliment from Andy meant the world to them, because even Ubah was surprised. She was like, wait, we did a good job? He said, oh, you did a great job. Although I thought it was a cute first season for these ladies, I know a lot of people didn't like it. I know quite a few of you guys said that you stopped watching around episode 4. So there were definitely some mixed reviews about this reboot, but overall, I think that it was a solid reboot. I enjoyed it. Were there some slow moments? Yes. Were there some filler episodes? Yes. But I think that for a first season overall, they did a pretty good job. So they all clap for themselves, and now Jenna says that the original New York ladies were incredible, and that they're not trying to replace them, but yet they're a new twist on the franchise. And again, I agree. I think that you always lose when you look to beat the original. I think that it's always best to be yourself and bring something new versus trying to recreate the old and trying to beat legends at their own game. Because say what you want, the original New York franchise was that girl. I will go as far as to say that at one point, New York was definitely in the top 3 of best franchises because the drama was chef's kiss. You had the cast trips. I will go on record and say that New York has always had the best cast trips. When they went to St. John, aka Scary Island, in season 3, that was legendary. When they went to St. Bart's in season 5, and Luann hooked up with that pirate while she was engaged to Jock, I mean, that was iconic. They definitely did what needed to be done back in the day. So now we kick things off with Erin. They play Erin's montage, and now Andy starts asking Erin about her recent move. We find out that Erin and her family moved uptown and they're in a rental. Now, I was surprised to hear this because, one, I remember clearly when Abe and Erin went out on that date night, and Erin said that she hated going uptown, and she always went on about how she loved living in Tribeca. Like, Tribeca was that girl, that was her neighborhood. So I was shocked to find out that she's moved uptown. I said, okay, I'm surprised to hear that, but hey, honey, it's your money, it's your life. Do what you want to do. But that definitely caught me off guard. So of course, Andy makes a joke about where Erin's living now is up and coming. And now they bring up the whole comment that Jessel made about Tribeca being up and coming. Now, while I like Jessel, right, I noticed that Jessel has a hard time just admitting if she put her foot in her mouth, because when they broached the whole topic of why would you say that Tribeca's up and coming? And she was like, honestly, when I said that, it was the most memed and talked about thing on the internet. And I said, well, that might be so, sis, but you can just admit that you put your foot in your mouth. Like, it's okay. You don't have to get defensive about it. You can tell that Jessel still has a hard time just saying, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. It was a dumb comment. Tribeca is that girl that has been a very hot neighborhood for a long time, but she just couldn't bring herself to do that. But I thought it was funny when her and Erin went back and forth about it, and Jessel said, look, I didn't make Tribeca happen, okay? I didn't build it. So now Andy reads a question from one of the viewers, and they're asking Erin, how's her company Homegirl doing? So Erin says that it's going well. She has a big project coming up. She's excited about that. And she's actually doing a project with Frederick from $1 Million Listing New York. So she says that Frederick is great and he is exactly who he is on TV in real life. Now, when Erin said that, all of a sudden we see Ubah talking about, well, we like that, unlike Jenna. So they're all like, girl, what? Did you guys catch Jenna's facial expression? She was like, why am I in it? I didn't even do anything. I'm just sitting here. So Andy wants to know why Ubah just said that. And Ubah says that TV Jenna and real life Jenna are completely different. She says that TV Jenna is poor me, a victim, old, and in real life, Jenna's a powerhouse. You could tell that everybody was caught off guard by that. Andy was like, so Jenna, how do you want to respond to what Ubah just said? Jenna was like, I'm speechless right now. I don't know what to say. And Ubah, like I said in the beginning of this recap, timing is everything. And your timing all throughout this reunion felt off. That was not the time or the place to call out Jenna while Andy is asking Erin questions. I don't care how you slice it, sis, but you just looked a bit silly. Also, Ubah, it screamed that you wanted a moment. You wanted a soundbite. And the way they just glossed over it, it was really embarrassing. I just said, what are you doing? And it also felt like you just wanted to have an issue with Jenna. And I didn't agree with Ubah's assessment of Jenna at all. I didn't think that Jenna was playing the victim. I felt like Jenna showed us that she's self-aware and she was showing us sides to her that we had no idea about. Who had any idea about her skin condition, her upbringing? We didn't know any of that. So for her to share that, I thought that was really powerful. So Jenna says, honestly, things are a bit different when you have cameras following you. Also, you can be vulnerable and powerful at the same time. They can both coexist. And I agree. And I think that Jenna gave us a very great mix of being a powerful woman who is also iconic with a legendary career, but also showing us her softer side, what she's been through, and she's been through quite a lot. I think that there are some other cast members on this show who have played victim, and I definitely would not say that Jenna's one of them. Jenna also goes on to say that in this social dynamic, she's not in a power position. So now Ubah goes on to address how Jenna avoided a lot of arguments and tough conversations. She says that Jenna was nowhere to be found a lot of times during the season. So Jenna's like, can you give me a specific instance where I avoided a conversation? Because I have no issue talking to you if there's an issue. My whole thing is I'm not getting involved if it doesn't concern me. And I'm not mad at that. I feel like, why insert yourself in someone else's fight? And then when Ubah tried to say, but you had a lot to say in your confessional, and I said, but that's everybody. On all these shows, we see everybody have all this mouth and shading their co-stars. And honestly, Ubah, I like Jenna's approach more than yours this season because I thought that you were going overboard with the whole argument in Anguilla with Erin about your phone and the sunglasses. So again, if I were you, I would take it down a notch and actually follow Jenna's lead because you could say what you want, but I think that Jenna does make a great addition to this show. I think that her being just naturally cool and reserved, but there's mystery and intrigue behind her. She gives you her backstory. She's even-keeled. I think that she really makes a great reality TV star. You never have to do too much or do the most when you are naturally a star. And I feel like Jenna has that it factor. So she doesn't need to pick fights or start petty drama the way some of these other women do. And before I forget, when they brought up how Erin and Frederick from Million Dollar Listing are working together, I honestly feel like Erin would be better suited for Million Dollar Listing versus Housewives. I don't think that Erin has the personality for this show. I think she's better off on a different show. And the way that she loves real estate so much, it's her passion, it's her life. I think that would be better for her. But then again, the realtors on Million Dollar Listing are cutthroat, so I don't know how well she'd do on that show either. So now, Andy reads a viewer question asking Erin if her family members always come to her with their problems because it seems that she's the matriarch of her family. So we find out that Erin pretty much handles it all when it comes to her family. Everybody goes to her for help, and she reveals that this summer, her mom was having health issues and she had to handle that. Now, we get a bit more of her backstory. She says that her parents had her, they got divorced, her dad remarried, I think she said 3.5 years later, and he had 3 other girls. So she says that when her dad and his new wife got divorced, her dad pretty much became a single dad of 4 girls. And there were times when her dad would go to Israel for business and she would be home taking care of her siblings. So she says that she grew up really fast. She was like a parent to them. She would wake them up for school, get breakfast ready, get their clothes ready. And I was like, that's really sad to hear. And it does make sense why she is the way she is. She's very type A, very tightly wound. And I could see why that is, because she had a lot of responsibility. And that's really not fair to her. It's almost like she was robbed of her childhood because she became like a surrogate mother to her siblings. But I said, Erin, this is what we want to see. I want to see more of this, where you're vulnerable and you're sharing more about your life. Not you bullying somebody and insinuating that somebody's husband is cheating. And I always find it so funny when Andy's bored with a conversation. He was like, okay, let's change gears. And now he reads another viewer question asking Erin about her and Abe swinging and were they serious about it. So you have Erin laughing nervously. She's like, oh no, it's just a joke. We like to have fun and be silly and talk about sex with our friends. Erin, you can tell that lie to somebody else because Abe looked dead ass when he talked about in 10 years you guys having threesomes and swinging with other couples. And the fact that he told you to your face on national TV that if you do go too long without having sex with him, he will cheat on you with other women. Don't play yourself, Erin. He was serious. And you know I can't stand Sai, but even Sai clocked it. She said, now, Erin, at that dinner, you and Abe seemed very serious about you guys swinging down the road. You almost looked like you wanted to recruit me and David at the table. And you know it's a true talent. The way these women find ways to not answer a direct question. When Andy read the viewer question asking Erin, how much did she actually spend on her anniversary party versus how much of it was sponsored and free? And when she was dancing around the question, she said, oh, well, the thing about my anniversary party is that a lot of small brands reached out to me and they asked me if they could have their names on my invitation for some promo. And I said, sure, why not? And I said, while that's nice and all, Erin, that you did a good deed, answer the damn question. How much money did you actually spend on the party? Because honestly, it's sounding like it was all free. So now Erin makes a dig that she won't ever do that again, putting sponsors on the invites because everybody else in this group had a problem with it. So Brynn says, well, no, it's not that we had a problem with it. We just thought it was strange. It was like, here's your anniversary party. Then at the bottom, we see Chase Bank, JP Morgan on the list for sponsors. It didn't feel like an anniversary party invite. It felt like something else. And listen, that's true because I'd be like, girl, what? Why does this look like we're going to a banquet or a gala? or a charity function. So Erin still dances around the question, and she says that they did spend a lot of money on the food. And of course you have Sai shading Erin. She's like, well honey, if that's the case, then you need a refund. So this leads Andy to reading another viewer question addressing Erin and her poor hosting skills with only serving appetizers to hungry people. So Erin's like, well, first of all, we're Jewish and Jewish people love to center events around food. So Andy agrees. He says, oh, absolutely. Jewish people, we love a good nosh. And growing up in New York and all the barn bat mitzvahs that I attended as a teen, I can confirm that the food, chef's kiss, okay? A never-ending spread. So I'm looking at Erin like, Erin, girl, what's going on? How come you're giving us these light bites? And Erin, all you had to do was just admit that you didn't have a full spread. When Andy was like, look, was there food at your party, yes or no? And she was like, well, you know, it was a cocktail party. And he's like, well, 7 and 8 p.m. in New York is dinner time, so you need to have some food. And then we find out from Jessel that she had some light bites, some finger foods, and hors d'oeuvres being passed around, but no, there wasn't any 3-course meal. I just want every single housewife to know, whether you're an OG or a newbie or somewhere in between, when you throw these parties, please know that we are going to judge them, especially if there's no liquor and no food. So the next time you host a party, Erin, or host a girls' trip at your gorgeous Hamptons home in Sag Harbor, I suggest that you have a full-blown spread. So that way your hosting skills are not put in question. Now, is Sai an asshole for how she storms out and makes a big deal about there being no food? Yes. But at the same time, sis, you do need to make sure that you feed your guests. And here's where things really got good. Andy reads a viewer question asking Erin, where do her and Sai stand now? And you have Erin saying, well, honestly, I don't know. Because the way Sai switched up, I don't know what happened to her. So you have Sai talking about, excuse me, something happened to me? The thing is, Erin, you lie and you don't own up to your shit. So Erin's like, well, here we go. Now I'm the liar. I said it is so funny to me that these two have been ragging on everybody all season long. The two mean girls with the most vile attitudes are now at each other's throats. Isn't it funny how life works? I was here for it. I had no sympathy for Erin whatsoever because it was all fun and games when Sai was up there bullying Jessel, making her cry. Now you want to sit there with your face all twisted up because now your best friend is getting on you now? Funny how life comes at you fast. So we find out that Sai's beef with Erin is all about Cheesegate. So Erin had gotten on a podcast and she had said that Sai was complaining about the cheese. So now Sai continues on and she's like, you know what? I have the clip of you saying that. Let me play it. So Sai plays the recording and then when she's done, she's like, I came to your house to have a good time. I brought you a big bottle of champagne and I was the only one eating the cheese. So again, why would you say that I came to your house and I complained about it? Now, did anybody else fall out when Sai said, stop insinuating that I'm a rude person who came to your house to complain? I said, wait, hold on. Did I hear that right? Sai De Silva is telling somebody not to accuse her of being a complainer and being a rude person. The very behavior that she has shown us since episode 1. Nobody has to insinuate anything about your attitude. You are rude. You're insufferable. You're aggravating. You're condescending. You lack self-awareness. And you're delusional. So at this point, Erin keeps denying that she said anything bad on the podcast. And you know Andy's getting irritated when he starts questioning you. He's like, look, Erin, did you say on the podcast that Sai came to your house and said, all you have is cheese? So Erin denies it yet again. And now Sai says, but why would you say that on the podcast then? So you have Erin backpedaling yet again. She's like, look, I misconstrued it. I didn't say it properly. I wasn't saying it in a negative light. I was actually just joking. I said, Erin, that's all you had to say. But the way you were denying it for like 5 minutes straight, now all of a sudden it's, well, you know what? I did say that, but I didn't mean to say that. I misconstrued it. Girl, you took us through that wild goose chase for what? You could have just said, you know what, Sai? I did say I didn't mean to say that. I twisted my words up, my bad. Then Erin makes a joke saying that there's so much focus on cheese. And now you have Ubah jumping in and she says, yeah, I agree. You guys need to focus on the fact that you didn't want Jenna to come on this show.
They should focus how you guys didn't want a Jenna in this show.
What? Who?
The three of you.
I didn't want Jenna on this show?
What?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Baby, their faces were like, girl, what? Jenna was looking at her like, now how did I get in this yet again? It seemed like Ubah had a real hard-on to pick on Jenna in any way, shape, or form, and the conversation wasn't even about her. Again, Ubah, you looked thirsty and desperate for a moment. The moment fell flat because Andy moved right on. He was like, okay then. Like I said, it was clear that somebody put a battery in Ubah's back and they told her, girl, your position is on the chopping block. You didn't give us that much this season, so you better show out and show your ass at this reunion, and it's just not landing. Again, the viewers can smell desperation a mile away. It's not a good look, Ubah, and I mean this from the most sincere place. I don't want to see you go out sad. And I was surprised to see Erin and Sai go right back at it. Erin says that had Sai listened to the rest of the podcast, she was actually complimenting Sai and talking about how much she loves Sai. So Sai's like, yeah, I didn't hear all that. And Erin's like, of course you didn't, because you just want to be angry. And I said again, there's no sympathy from me because, Erin, it was all fun and games when you were sitting up there teasing Jessel with Sai, but now when she comes for you, now you want to cry and be all upset and pout. Again, I don't care. It's what you deserve. You want to sit around somebody who's miserable and vile with a mean girl spirit, and you think that they won't eventually turn on you? You have to always look at the patterns with people. If they are quick to gossip about their friends, lie on their friends, stab people in the back, you don't think that eventually they're not going to do the same to you? They will. It's always a matter of when they do it to you, not if. But before they wrap Erin's segment up, Andy does touch on Erin's attitude, how she can be rude and crass, and Erin owns it. She says, you know what? I am, and I could stand to work on it. So now Ubah interrupts and she's like, actually, I think that Erin is nice and polite and elegant, but I do feel like she's a shit stirrer and she's a gaslighter. And I was like, okay, and why was that needed, Ubah? Like I said, I felt like Ubah was all over the place. It almost seemed like she didn't know what to say or where to go because I was confused. Do you like Erin or do you not? Now we jump to Jenna's segment, and the first half of her segment was low-key a therapy session. So anyhow, Andy starts it off by commending Jenna, the fact that she's such an icon, nobody would ever believe that she felt unattractive and unseen. So Jenna says that getting into fashion and finding clothes that made her feel good was really the catalyst for why she does what she does and how she moved past the hump of feeling bad about herself. You can tell that Jenna is very down to earth, and I love the fact that her mission is to make other people feel beautiful and feel pretty. Like, I love that. Again, I think that the reason why Jenna's been so successful is there's a likability factor. I think that people really forget that that's a major key in success. People have to like you. I know I keep gushing over her, but I have to tell you, when I met Jenna in person, when I did the red carpet, she is an absolute sweetheart. She just looks you right in your eye. Her energy, the vibe, she just has such a warmth about her. Like, you really can't recreate that. You either have that or you don't. And I told you guys, I feel like the camera does not do her justice because in person, baby, the face card, she looked good. Like I was like enamored. Okay, I know, right? Like not even being dramatic. I said she is a beautiful woman. Like her whole aura, just Jenna is just that girl, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. That's just the long and the short of it. So now Andy addresses how Jenna started filming the show 6 weeks after her mother passed away. And of course, Jenna gets emotional. Now you have Brynn also getting emotional because remember, Brynn shared her story and her upbringing. And it was also really tough because her mom wasn't in the picture. So every time Jenna shares her story, she can relate. So Jessel jumps in and she says that when she first met Jenna, she expected Jenna to have this rough exterior, but seeing how soft Jenna really was really surprised her. And then she goes on to add that Jenna was very brave for sharing her story and putting it all out there. So now Jenna starts talking about how emotional she was throughout filming, how sad she got when Ubah hosted that sound bath event and the healer had told her, tell your inner child that you're safe, you're okay. Then she mentions when she met Jessel's mom, she was like on autopilot and being embraced and being hugged like that, it was something that she realized she had never experienced. So at this point, Jenna is sobbing, and now Brynn jumps in and she says that a similar situation happened to her where one of her friend's parents started hugging her and consoling her, and she says that she broke down because she's like, this is the love that I should have received from my parents, and I've never gotten that. And my heart really broke for Jenna when Andy started asking her about, did her mom ever congratulate her about her success in her career? And when Jenna said no, she just couldn't do it. And she would even say, I know I should be congratulating you, but for some reason it's just not clicking. And I remember Jenna revealing that her mom had Asperger's syndrome. So that was the reason why she was so cold and had no emotions. But even still, that doesn't make things easier. And I have to commend Jenna for still giving her mom grace because she said, even though it hurt, I do have a tender spot for my mom because she just couldn't do it. But I loved when she said that it's healing for her when she tells her son that she loves him and she gives him hugs. She says that it's like she's healing her inner child because she's showing love to her child that she didn't get as a kid. Now, I was really upset to hear her mention her dad and how her dad is still alive. And while he was cold with her, he was actually warm and sweet with his other family. And I was just like, do parents who are cold and cruel to their kids, do they have regrets for treating their kid like crap? Like, I always want to know what goes through the minds of parents who treat their kids poorly. And I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but something that has always bothered me, right? I always feel sad every time I hear people say that they didn't grow up in an affectionate home or that their parents never told them they were proud of them or that they loved them. There were no hugs and kisses. And again, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but I just don't understand that because you pop this kid out and you don't tell them that you love them. Like, I don't get that. And I know people say, well, no, who needs to hear it as long as you know it? And it's like, no, people need to hear that. That is important. And I think I'm such an advocate for it because I grew up hearing that. You know, not a day went by where I didn't say I love you or my parents didn't say I love you to us. And every time I get off the phone with one of my siblings, my mom, when my dad was alive, we always end the conversation with I love you. Period. It could be, somebody's driving to the store, running an errand. We end the call with I love you. Every time we leave each other's presence, it's I love you. It's a hug. It's a kiss. It's important. And I know that you might be like, Brooke, why are you talking about this? But I just feel like you need that, especially if you have children. I feel like your kids need to hear that. That's an important part in their development. But I think that it really is a beautiful thing that Jenna is breaking the cycle and she's not repeating it. She's like, no, just because I didn't get that as a kid, I'm going to make sure that my kid gets what I didn't have, and I love that. I did think it was a touching moment when Brynn expressed her fears of motherhood, and because of what she didn't get as a child, would that come up when she becomes a parent? And Erin was encouraging her. She was like, girl, when you have kids, you're going to be so entrenched. You're not even going to be worried about it. You're going to say, you know what? I'm doing a great job. I'm a great mom. So now Andy turns his attention to Ubah and Brynn, and he starts asking them, what was the reaction from the fans like when they shared their stories about their lives? So Brynn says that it was overwhelming. She got thousands of emails thanking her for sharing her story, and how while she was a bit nervous when she did share it, she realizes that it's therapeutic and she's happy that she was able to help some people out. So now Ubah says that while she didn't get thousands of emails, she did get people reaching out to her saying, thank you so much. Because of you, I reached out and called my mom. I visited her, even though we have a bad relationship, but what you said to me really spoke to me, and I do want to make things right before she goes. So at this point, Ubah is so emotional, she breaks down. And I just said, listen, I'm all for people sharing their stories. I think it's important to share, but I don't want anybody to be so overcome with emotion that they're having a breakdown on the couch. I felt bad for Ubah, but Erin jumps in and she's choked up. She says that when her mom got sick over the summer, Ubah was the first person that she called. And she goes on to add that Ubah told her, like, look, that's your mom. Don't screw it up. You only get one mother. Fix your relationship. And again, season 15, if you guys all come back, can we get some happier storylines, please? Because every episode cannot be so trauma-based and just so sad. I love a good cry like the next person, but at some point, it's time for us to start talking about some happier things. And now we see Andy turn his attention to Sai, and he starts asking, how has her mom and her not having a great childhood, how has that affected her? So Sai says that she's been carrying this trauma for quite some time because she's not one to deal with her feelings. She pretty much runs away from her feelings and emotions. Then she goes on to add that while she had a traumatic childhood, it doesn't affect the way she parents her children because she is loving to her kids. So Sai continues on by saying that she really hasn't dealt with the trauma of her mom and how being tough is a coping mechanism. Now, let me just stop right here because Sai, you're telling us something that we've already known. We clocked you from day one. It is extremely obvious that you never dealt with or unpack the trauma that you went through with your upbringing, because you talk about it in every episode. I thought it was really alarming with that scene that you did with your daughter when she had just gotten out of ballet rehearsal and you went on to say, well, honey, you have a great childhood. Mommy didn't have that. Mommy's family couldn't afford gymnastics or ballet. And I'm just like, why was that necessary to say? Let your daughter enjoy her childhood. Let her enjoy her life. Why do you have to compare and let her know, by the way, mommy didn't have that. Mommy didn't have this. Mommy didn't have it easy like you did. And I feel like that's unfair to put that on a child. And it's the true lack of self-awareness and delusions for me when Sai said, yes, I am broken on the inside, but I don't want anybody to know that. When people look at me, I want them to see happiness and positivity. I said, girl, what?
No.
Is the happiness and the positivity in the room with us right now? Sai, if anything, you're the face of misery. I just don't understand on what planet you think that we look at you and say, oh wow, she's just such a joy, what a ray of light. It's the complete opposite. it really shows you that you don't see yourself. But then again, you're the same one who calls yourself a girl's girl, so I know that you're not really living in reality. Because again, a girl's girl's not sitting up there talking about another woman's bodily functions and their marriage. You making that little weak joke about, oh my gosh, she said that it took her 20 minutes to warm up down there. What is she, an oven? And why is he going to Vietnam? Because he's doing more than just going for a sandwich. That's not girl's girl behavior. I said Sai might be more delusional than Sheree Whitfield from Atlanta. Andy was trying so hard not to laugh. He was like, and what do the other women think about this? And he looked at Jessel, and Jessel was like, I mean, Sai, you do have a rough exterior. I tried to break through and relate to you, but that went south. And then you have Sai saying, look, I'm just not the type to tell my friends that I love them. I'm just not that girl. With my kids, I'm like that, but not with grown women. When it comes to my friends, I'll help them out, but I'm not all mushy. I said, girl, it's not even about being mushy in your case. You're just not a good friend. You're not. I don't care how you try to slice it up, but you're just not. And like I said in previous recap side, I really hope that you look back on this season and you do some serious soul searching and some self-reflecting, because your behavior has been awful. And if you are going to get into reality TV, you need to think long and hard and pray about it. Because a lot of people, yes, in your little circle, your antics might be cute, but on national TV, it might be a complete flop. And you can tell that Sai really thought that she was going to come over here and be the fan favorite and be that girl. And baby, the way it was a complete opposite. And now she's sitting at the end of the couch on the reunion with egg on her face because she played herself. So now Andy interjects and he changes gears. And he's like, Jenna, I have to say, despite all that you've been through, you've really overcome a lot, and that's some true success. So now you have Sai jumping in, talking about, yeah, I have to say, Jenna does not celebrate herself enough. I said, Sai, it's too late for you to try to salvage things and make yourself out to be Jenna's #1 fan. The way you hated on Jenna the entire season, I don't want to hear it. And then you saying, oh yeah, because you're Jenna effing Lyons, like you're amazing, you're an icon. I said, girl, don't do that. What we won't do is try to change up now because the fans are on Jenna's side and they don't like you or Erin. And I caught that comment that Sai made when she was like, when I first met Jenna, I just assumed that she would be a bitch. And I said, anytime you hear somebody tell you, when I first met you, I thought that you would be a snob or a bitch. Anytime somebody says that to you, you need to run. Because every time I've heard something like that, it's always some hidden jealousy and some secret animosity. Because 10 times out of 10, people like that want to rattle you and they're pissed off that you have confidence and like yourself. And they just feel like, how dare you feel good about yourself? And they want to sit up there and bother you and make your life a living hell because they don't feel good about themselves. Now, when they changed gears and Andy brought up the whole Anguilla trip and how Erin ran back and told the ladies in Anguilla that the reason why Jenna got there the day before because she wanted to fly first class without them. And then you have Erin backpedaling. She's like, you know what? When I watched this season back, I really felt bad because I had no idea that Jenna's skin condition and her health issues were as severe as they were. So I really feel bad about that. And I said, first things first, it doesn't matter how much you knew about Jenna's health issues. If Jenna said to you, I need to go down to Anguilla a few days before you guys, that's all she needs to say. Jenna does not owe anybody an explanation for why she had to do what she had to do. You guys were out of order. I don't care how much you knew. Also, people are not obligated to tell you about their personal issues. Erin, you were dead ass wrong for multiple reasons because when you went to Jenna's house in that episode, you were like, oh my gosh, I want to go first class, take me with you. Then all of a sudden you want to turn back around to the other women and say, oh yeah, she told me she doesn't want to fly coach, she's just flying first class to get away from us. You twisted up her words. And now you want to sit up here and talk about, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, because the fans ate you up because what you did was wrong. I love how Jenna said, watching that episode back, I called Miss Erin up and we talked about it. I told her flat out that what you did was shitty. And Erin was like, yeah, she called me and I apologized. I said, Jenna, you're too nice for me because I would have cursed her out. And I would have cursed her out again at this reunion.
And you're gonna always get it again and again and again.
I don't care if Jenna wanted to go to Anguilla 3 weeks before you guys. That's her right. Who are you to tell another grown woman what she can and can't do travel-wise? Unless you're paying for the ticket, hun, I can do what I want. But they were out of line for that. And I felt like their apologies were weak. And if I were Jenna, I would have said, you know what? You guys can all kiss my ass because, again, that was really shitty how you ganged up on me in Anguilla. And Erin, you sat up there twisting my words up. And Ubah, you tried it because you were like, Jenna, I didn't say anything. And I loved how Brynn clocked you. She was like, Ubah, you literally said Jenna can suck my you-know-what. So what are you talking about? And Ubah sat there looking dumb. I said, now, Ubah, why are you going to lie like that? Why? All you need to do is apologize for what you said because you were out of line too. And I thought that that comment was completely out of line and it came way out of left field. Like, what? You're saying that all because she had to go to Anguilla a few days earlier? Like, you sound crazy. And Jenna should have cursed you out for that too, because if I heard that somebody said that, we would have a problem. Andy reading that viewer question asking Jenna about why hasn't she ever been on a girls' trip? And I just said, honestly, Jenna, you're really not missing a whole lot. These girls' trips are overrated 9 times out of 10. And we could talk about that in another video, okay? I owe you guys so many like real life videos. But I was just like, Jenna, you're not missing a whole lot. And Sai's girls' trip was a flop. Now, when Andy brought up the whole issue of the ladies being upset with Jenna bringing them gifts every time she saw them, only thing I have to say about that is they're ungrateful and they're jealous. Because I don't know who is upset about getting free designer gifts. Because trust and believe, if you don't want them, I will surely take them. I said, now, where are the friends like Jenna Lyons? Honey, if you're out there, if you're like Jenna Lyons, please call me up. And you guys know where I am with friends right now. Go watch my previous lives. We've talked about this. You guys, for all of my folks who really watch me, you know the whole story, especially right now. I'm a little bit, when it comes to friends, I'm like, it's feeling like friendship is a bit overrated. No shade, but I'm just saying that's another video for another day, like I said. But I just said again, where are the friends like Jenna? I loved how Jenna set the record straight. She said, first of all, when it came to me giving you guys gifts, there was no sponsorship angle whatsoever. And the way they were all quiet, I said exactly. Because you guys wanted to have this angle, especially Brynn. Brynn kept saying, you're trying to get us to promote your products. And that wasn't the case at all. And let's be real for a moment. Jenna Lyons has the most prestige and star power out of everybody in this group. Do you really believe that she needs you and your Instagram followings to get promo on products that she's collabing with? Let's really think. Jenna just got a feature, I think it was on New York Magazine or the New York Times. And then she was just in Paris with Usher and all these other A-list celebrities. Do you really believe for 1 minute that she needs you and your recent fame to promote her stuff? Like, y'all don't make any sense. So Jenna says, look, I was surprised to hear all these complaints. I just love giving people gifts. A lot of times I have so many gifts in my closet. I like to give them away. That's it, that's all. There's no ulterior motive. I was just trying to be friendly and just trying to give you guys some really cool products. I said again, Jenna, if they're ungrateful, you can DM me, email me right now and ask for my address and I will gladly take. With a smile on my face, and I will send you a thank you card on top of that. And you see how the jealousy and envy jumped out aside. She was like, well, I get a lot of gifts too. I just thought that it was strange because I just thought, you were coming around giving me gifts all the time. I'm not used to friends giving gifts. And I thought that it wasn't genuine, but now that I've gotten to know you, I'm like, okay, I get it now. I said, Sai, please shut up. You're just so jealous of her. You just can't take it. And I also caught that comment when you were like, you know what? I wanted to fly first class too. Maybe I was jealous. I said, girl, again, all this boils down to is jealousy. So now Sai admits that all in all, they were very hard on Jenna, and she apologizes again. So now you have Erin saying, well, look, we're like a sorority. You have to get hazed. I said, oh, okay, but when you get hazed, you want to cry. And why are you so hell-bent on hazing Jenna Lyons? I didn't think that the little fashion segment was that interesting. When they asked who's the best dresser, I think Ubah said that, she said that what it was Sai and Jessel were the best. And then I think Jenna said that she thinks Brynn is the best dressed in the group. So now we get to Ubah's segment, not gonna hold you. The first few minutes of Ubah's segment weren't that interesting. They go over her business, Ubah hot sauce, and we find out that Jenna gave her a few tips. Jenna pretty much told her, be yourself. It's all about your energy. People are investing in you, not just the product. So don't change yourself. Just continue to be who you are and you'll succeed. We find out that Ubah has 3 sisters. They live in Vancouver and she has 1 brother and her dad is still alive. So we find out that she's not that close to her father. And she says that she went to a healer who told her that you always date guys like your dad. And she goes on this weird tangent about how she has slapped every guy she's ever been with. Andy was like, well, have you slapped your new man, Mr. Connecticut? And she was like, oh no. And I was just like, Ubah, what's going on? I said, no, Ubah, you need to watch out. Either your new man is intrigued by hearing that you like to slap men up, or he's about to be really nervous and say, shout out to everybody, I have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody, I had fun.
I gotta be good.
Now, here's where things really pop off. Andy reads a viewer question asking Sai, how can she be mad at Brynn when she was the one who broke Ubah's trust in the first place? And can we talk about how Sai was backpedaling hard? Because her answer made no sense. She says that the reason why she was harder on Brynn because her and Brynn are super close. And I just said, that makes no sense. Because any way you slice it, you were dead ass wrong. You had no right to betray Ubah's trust. Period. You promised Ubah you wouldn't say anything and you did. So I don't care if you and Brynn were close like sisters. Whatever the case was, you still were out of line telling Brynn Ubah's business. And the way Brynn swiftly ate Sai right on up, she was like, oh, about the secret that you told on camera, you're mad at me. And I said, get her. So Sai says, look, I spilled the beans. I take full ownership. I'm sorry. I apologize to Ubah. The main thing was Ubah didn't want me to reveal that he lives in Connecticut. So Andy's like, so that's the real issue? You didn't want anybody to know where he lives? So Ubah's like, well, yeah, but it was also the fact that she told the secret as well. And now Ubah says that when she's with somebody, she doesn't want to tell anybody at first because she wants to make sure that it's going to last. And I say, yes, we know that. You've shared that you move in silence, which I 100% recommend. But that's not the point at hand. The point is, why aren't you mad at Sai for opening her mouth? Why did you have more smoke for Brynn than Sai? That's what we the people want to know. So Sai interjects and she says, look, it was my fault. I take full accountability. I shouldn't have told Erin or Brynn. It's my fault. Ubah, again, I'm sorry. And then she apologizes to Brynn for being mad at her. She's like, you know what, Brynn? I had too much to drink at your birthday party. I took it out on you, but I'm the one at fault. I'm sorry. So Brynn starts crying and then she thanks her because they haven't spoken in 6 months. And again, I feel like Brynn was giving us first chair energy in this first part because she ate Sai up yet again. She was like, while I appreciate that because I did apologize to you profusely over the past 6 months, you weren't hearing me. But I do have to say, all throughout these last 6 months, you've been on press runs and you've been bashing me. And now it's convenient for you to apologize to me now and look like the good guy. But where was this apology 6 months ago? And I said, exactly. Sai is only apologizing to you now because of the fan backlash. That's it. It's not that she's being sincere. She's only doing this because the viewers can't stand her, and the viewers were calling her out like, girl, you have your anger directed at the wrong person. You need to be mad at yourself because you're the one who broke Ubah's trust. And if I were Brynn, I would have been petty. I would have said, sorry, Sai, but this apology is 6 months too late. I don't accept it. You don't get to bash me all over the press and then say, oh, girl, well, you know what? I'm sorry. I was drinking too much, but you know, my bad. No, that's not how this works. So now Ubah jumps in and she blames this all on Erin. She says that if Erin hadn't have opened her mouth about how she was upset with David for him making the comment about why is she still single, then Sai wouldn't have revealed her new man. So Erin's like, oh, so now it's my fault. And Ubah says, yes, it is, because that was a catalyst to why this conversation got started in the first place. And while I feel like Sai should get all the blame, I don't disagree with that, because I said it in my finale recap that Erin opening her mouth about Ubah being mad at David, that unleashed Sai's pettiness, and that's why she revealed Ubah's man, because she felt a type of way at Ubah being mad at her husband. So in a way, Erin did kind of get the ball rolling for Sai to open her mouth. But still, the main person who should get all the smoke is Sai. So now you have Jessel chiming in, and if I'm being honest, I felt like Jessel was really quiet to be in the first chair. I kind of feel like Jessel could have been in the middle, even though she did carry this season on her back, giving everybody else stuff to talk about. I just feel like Jessel kind of fizzled out. But anyhow, Jessel says that for all of them to have this circle of trust, she finds it funny that all they had to talk about was her marriage. So now you have Erin talking about, what are you talking about? We never talked about your marriage. And Jessel says, yes, you did. So Sai says, all we said was that your marriage was sexless. That's it. And Jessel's like, no, you both insinuated that my husband was cheating on me. And they did. Roll the tapes back. We saw on multiple occasions Erin and Sai joke around about, oh, well, you mean, I don't know. I mean, he's going to Vietnam. Why is he going to Vietnam? They haven't had sex in 2 years. He's not wearing his wedding ring. He said that Jessel lets him do whatever he wants. They were definitely trying to imply that Pavitt cheats on her. We watched you guys for 14 weeks dog this lady and her husband out. So don't sit up here and lie now. So Brynn jumps into the mix, and now Sai starts yelling at Brynn. She's like, Brynn, why are you instigating? Just stop. So Brynn's like, girl, I can't hear you from all the way down there. And baby, the way Sai was gagged, Sai was like, read my lips, Brynn.
You know what? It's too much.
So now Andy wants to know, where do Brynn and Sai stand in their friendship? And Sai's like, we're fine. And Brynn is like, are we fine? Because yeah, you apologized to me, but I feel a type of way because you've been talking about me. I hear that you're calling me all sorts of whores and sluts, saying that you don't know how I get my money. You don't even know what I do. And Sai's like, I never said that. I would never call you a whore or a slut. If I said that, I would own it, but I have not said that. So now Sai says that, I'm being honest, I don't know what you do. So Brynn said, oh, really, girl? You want to play me when I'm the one who got you a brand deal with a Vino baby? And then you have Sai saying, what? That was back in 2017. I said, Sai, it doesn't matter whether Brynn got you that deal 20 years ago, 5 years ago, or a year ago. The point of the matter is, you know good and damn well what she does for a living, so don't start. And I'm glad that Brynn is paying you dust. She was like, you know what? I'm good with friends. I already have 1,000 friends. Like, I'm good. I don't really care where we go from here. I said, yeah, because if I were Brynn, I would not be checking for Sai. Because how dare you blame me and drag me through the mud in the press for 6 whole months when you're the one who started the whole entire thing. And now you want to shade me on my career? Oh, we're done. So now we close out this first part with Jessel segment. And Andy's asking Jessel about her sex life. He's like, how's it going? And Jessel says that it's going a lot better. Now, I don't know why Sai was making faces. I said, you look like such a clown. I don't understand why you want her marriage to be a mess. You really seem bothered by Jessel. So now Andy wants to know if Jessel regrets admitting this on TV. And Jessel says, no, it is what it is. It was what was happening at the time. And hey, I said it. Other people go through it. Like, I have no regrets. While I appreciate the fact that Jessel kept it real, and I admire her for that, the only reason why I wouldn't have told them, because the way they made it a whole entire storyline, and they really tried to clown your marriage. That was the only reason why I feel like if I were Jessel, I would have been annoyed. But when you think about it, Jessel came out as the winner of the season. She came out as one of the fan favorites. Everybody rallied around her, and Sai and Erin made fools of themselves trying to clown her. Sai and Erin honestly need to cut Jessel a check for sharing her personal business like that, because the way they talked about it from episode 2 to the finale, that was so petty of Andy to ask the ladies if the wine at Jessel's event was that bad, and Erin was like, yeah, it was really bad. And the way Jessel checked her, she was like, well, it was free wine and it was sponsored, so I really don't care. So Erin's like, oh, so your wine was sponsored too? And Jessel said, yeah, it was sponsored, but it wasn't on the invitation. And now Andy jumps in and he's like, but there's a difference between a business event and an anniversary party. And I was just like, ooh. And the way Erin was gagged, she was like, okay, whatever. I said, that will teach you to shut your mouth.
You not fab like that to be doing all of that. Learn your place, earn your spot.
Because the way Andy and Jessel read you down in less than 30 seconds, I would be embarrassed. So Andy reads a viewer question, and the question addresses Jessel moving back to New York when she was actually living in Dallas. And they want to know, did you move back to New York to join the show? So Jessel denies it. Everybody else is a bit stunned. I was also confused because I said, now I could have sworn that Jessel said that she had lived here for 22 years or 20 years. So hearing that Miss Mama's just moved back from Dallas, I'm just like, girl, what? So Jessel says that she moved back to New York for the opportunity. And Andy was like, yeah, the opportunity to be on this show. So she's like, no, I moved back to be closer to my parents and for work opportunities. And they were all looking at her like, Jessel, it's okay, girl. You don't have to sit up here and lie. Just admit that you wanted to join this show and that's why you moved back. Like, it's okay. It's no judgment. But you sitting up here making up all these tales, we're not buying what you're trying to sell. So Jessel says that she lives in New York for a decade. Then her and Pavitt moved to LA. The twins were born in LA. Then they moved to Dallas because that's where Pavitt started his business. And then they moved back to New York about 18 months ago. And so Andy's trying to do the math. He's like, well, 18 months ago, we were casting for this show. So you moving back here falls in line with the timeline of us getting this show off the ground. And I said again, Jessel, just come clean and say, you know what? I wanted to be on this show, so we moved back. But I wasn't buying this whole thing about how she wants to be close to her family. And even Andy said it. He was like, well, if you want to be close to your family, then why not move back to London? Remember, she has her e-commerce line that she wants to pop and be successful. And what better way than to join one of these shows and get the notoriety, get the publicity, and get the money? So girl, again, I'm not buying it. Oh, I just moved to be closer to the parents and I miss New York. Let's not. You moved back to get on this show and it worked out.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
So now we see Andy address Sai's comments about Jessel and Pavitt's sex life and how she didn't believe that they finally had sex. And Sai's like, you know what? I apologize for that. I shouldn't be commenting on anybody else's marriage besides mine. I said, yeah, girl, you know to keep quiet because your tea is already out about how you and David met. Also, it's just rude and it's just messed up because Jessel and Pavitt haven't done anything to you. And also, Sai, when you went on to say, you know what, I just don't see a connection or any chemistry between you and your husband, I said, if I'm being honest, I don't see any romance or chemistry between you and David. You and David look like two good friends, if I'm being honest with you. I don't see all this chemistry. So now Jessel starts crying and she's like, nobody has the right to comment on my marriage. Then she's like, do you know what I went through? I was postpartum. I went through IVF for 4 years. Like, these things happen. And I was so overjoyed when Sai tried to interrupt. And Jessel said, I'm talking right now. Do not interrupt me. I said, get her. Because Sai has been out of line. And we closed it out with Jessel saying that Erin and Sai both insinuated that Pavitt was cheating on her. And that's where the first part ends. And I'm ready for the second part so that we can just wrap this up because I'm tired. Because New York is wearing me out. The first part, like I said, it was solid. I thought that Ubah was all over the place. Seeing Erin and Sai now trying to act like they're victims and backpedaling, I was just done. But guys, that was my recap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And you guys already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.